on The Money Show.
Tonight on The Money Show, the science of the corporate gift. It's that time of year when, if you're lucky enough, somebody in the corporate environment thinks about you and sends you something that they've thought about, they've applied their mind to. Generally, it'll have a corporate logo on it, means you can't rewrap it and give it to anybody you care about because, of course, it's this time of year.
There is boy child, Jesus Christ, was born on Christmas Day. And man will live forevermore because of Christmas Day.
Okay, that's enough shopping centre schlock. All right, that's okay. Of course, Boney M, and everybody loves Boney M at this time of year. And I've got a colleague who's debating with herself as to when it is appropriate to insert her Boney M CD into the car CD player so that she can embarrass herself at traffic lights. That person, whose name is Laura Clancy, shall remain unnamed. But what we've got in studio with us this evening is a man who is very involved in the corporate gifting sector. We'll talk to him in a couple of minutes' time. But Alexia Gregoratis is with Prime Media Broadcasting. She is in charge of public relations, and she's also the person who gets all of the catalogues from all of the corporate gifting people in the country.
There are millions.
How many of these things do you get a year?
I can't see over the pile.
Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 5'6", so I'm not that tall, but that's a lot of books.
And when do these things start arriving?
There's no start or no end, Bruce. Really, they just flood the gates all year round.
And are there lots of different companies involved in this particular game?
There are a few who just continue to send catalogue after catalogue, even though you haven't connected with them ever. But yeah, they're a good 10, 12 that contact me on a monthly basis.
And what sort of things are there in these delightful catalogues?
Lots of pens and lanyards. Millions of lanyards.
Pens, lanyards, so cheap junk, basically.
Yeah.
And this is regarded as corporate gifting.
Yeah, look, I mean, there are obviously different levels of corporate gifting. I mean, firstly, it is so expensive to do this corporate gifting. Personally, I look at this stuff and think to myself, who actually wants a gift from a company that's branded? You alluded to it.
Yes.
Personally, it's not my style. I don't like to receive gifts like that. I would far rather somebody actually made a donation on my behalf to a charity of my choice than receive a gift that I have no use for.
You would also think that in the corporate environment, it is about building and developing relationships, and those things are more difficult from a governance perspective than they used to be. But if you're building relationships, you kind of would like to send somebody something that they might like. So you know that Johnny likes wine and Bob likes books and Cesware happens to like fine cigars. Well, then send them a Cuban cigar.
Absolutely. Make it personal, Bruce.
Absolutely.
It's not about spraying and praying. And I think that's one of the major issues, is that it's a quick solution. There's very, very little thought that goes into corporate gifting.
But this is a big industry. It's an industry that is trying to tap into your network, and they say, hold on a second, you're in the broadcasting business, you oversee marketing across 4 radio brands and across online platforms. You're going to be a surefire thing because you're going to want to send out 1,000 gifts this year. You're not going to be doing it, are you?
Absolutely not. And I think the message that I have for these companies is get to know my brand. You know, I mean, we're radio stations. There are 4. You mentioned that. There's talk radio, there's music radio, there's Lead SA, there's Crime Line. All of them have their own personality. All of them should have their own execution. And yet a pen is not the solution, or a lanyard is not the solution. Neither are coasters.
What is the quality of the stuff? When people, occasionally you might invite somebody into the building and say, I've seen your catalogue. Actually, you thought about this. You've got something unique. You put it together, a proposal that suits me. How does the quality? Does the quality pass the mustard?
Let's just say the sample. Yeah, the sample is always good. Okay. When you're looking at 200-300 units, you know, number 35 might be a bit of a dud.
Yeah.
So you really need to go through absolutely every piece or every material that comes through the building just to double check it. I mean, you know, you look at samples, you get color swatches, but some of it doesn't translate into the end product. And then it's going through, you know, how to deal with this. Do you pay them? Do you pay them up front? There's always this 50% upfront payment thing. There are a lot of gripes that come into this, you know, and we don't necessarily use one company all the time. We need to use many different companies, but once you have that relationship, you're expecting so much more out of them. And I think that's where the relationship needs to go to. They've got to understand the brand. Safe
to say that you're underwhelmed by the corporate gifting sector?
Completely.
Excellent. What a nice tip for our next guest this evening here on The Money Show, Alexia Gregoratis. We get her to do it again. I'm not Greek.
Alexia Gregoratos.
That's not Greek.
Gregoratos.
Thank you very much. There we go. She is the head of marketing at Prime Media Broadcasting. And as Alexia with a complicated Greek name winds away out of the studio, great pleasure to welcome Bryan Peach, Director of the Corporate Gifts Association of South Africa. Your association this evening seems very necessary, Bryan, because Alexia is having a very bad experience with possibly some of your members.
Yeah, Bruce, 100% correct. The perception of the industry is unfortunately exactly what she perceives it to be. Hence the reason for us forming an association. And let it be known, the association is only 2 years old. All other associations throughout the world are 40, 50, 100 years old. Personally, I've been in the industry since 1986. And
so you got your own business in the corporate gifting industry?
Not at all. I actually sold my business to take up the association and to take up the industry and to uplift it, to change the perceptions of the end user consumer who's in the market of consuming corporate
The only way of changing the perception is to change the way in which these guys operate. They don't seem to be as professional as we might like.
Unfortunately, again, state of the industry, it is indicative. The entry level is far too easy. Anybody who finds out who manufactures a T-shirt and finds out who actually prints a T-shirt suddenly runs a gift company. And unfortunately, if you've got a friend in the right place with the right budget, you suddenly got a 2-3 million rand company. And I always say half the time these people can't balance their books at home, never mind run a business. Unfortunately, that allows for this really sad perception of what our industry is all about. And it's very sad because we are a multi-billion rand industry.
What is this industry worth? Because there is an awful lot of junk that gets passed around South Africa at this time of the year, whether it be lanyards or key rings or branded coffee cups or whatever it might be. All of these things cost money to manufacture, so it supports the manufacturing sector, maybe the Chinese manufacturing sector, but it's a manufacturing sector nevertheless.
Sure, yeah.
There's the distribution, there's the courier companies, there's the postal service. There is a significant amount of stuff that moves at this time of year.
Sure, we're a very reputable industry, but we're obviously not given the respect that we deserve, purely for a lot of the reasons you've just heard. We do employ tens of thousands of people. Obviously, there's peripheral industries as well, the silk screens, the couriers, the freighting companies, etc. A large portion of the products do come in from China. We're also not a Christmas gift industry. And in fact, we're not a gift industry at all. We're actually in the advertising business. And I think a lot of people don't understand or relate to that. And unfortunately, a lot of people in the industry don't relate to that either. So
they see themselves as seasonal rather than as an ongoing promotional sector.
100% correct. I mean, 60% of the turnover is probably generated in the last 4 months of the year. So we're actually into the suicide time of the year now in respect to corporate gifts. But we're not a Christmas gift industry. We actually are in the advertising business.
But it is the time of year where most people who suddenly go, oh my goodness me, we're ignoring our customers. Let's do something fast. Get some pens. I was sent a wad of your magazines, and flicking through the magazines, the same stuff comes up. Branded pens, branded this, branded that, branded this. Everybody wants to stick their logo onto something which they then want you to keep on your desk. So they have warm and fuzzy feelings about them.
You know what the problem is, Bruce? The end user corporate who actually purchases the product and hands it out usually drives the price down. So it's all a question, you get what you pay for. And you get pens and you get pens. If you want a 1 rand 20 pen printed 2 colors and you want to buy 10,000 of them, you're guaranteed it's gonna last for 2 or 3 weeks, probably leak in your pocket before you throw it away. You can on the other hand buy a very good quality pen, be it out of Germany or Italy or one of the European countries, and the pen would be guaranteed to write for 5,000 meters, write beautifully and not leak in your pocket. Again, you're associated by the company you keep. So unfortunately, a lot of the end users need to be educated as well. You're going to get what you pay for, and you're putting your brand on to sometimes an absolute piece of junk.
Completely. And so many people say the recipients of corporate gifts would like it to be more personal. And is there anybody in South Africa who is doing corporate gifts particularly well, or is there an elite of the corporate gifting sector?
We have a lot of professional companies, and by professional doesn't mean the size of their turnover or their staff complement. And again, we've always been considered to be the poor cousins of the conventional agencies, whereas we basically should be treated with respect because we're an integral part of the marketing mix. So there's a hell of a lot of really good.
You demand to be treated with respect, but you admit that there are a bunch of cowboys in your industry. That's the trouble.
There's a hell of a lot of work to be done. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And I think we've come a long way in 2 years. The industry's come a long way in the last 5-10 years with the technology age, with the showrooms, with the catalogs. But we've also become an industry of order takers. Where exactly what was heard previously, find out about your customer, find out what they're trying to achieve. Why are you giving out a corporate gift? And gift, we should actually take that out the vocabulary. Why are you giving out a promotional product?
But that's what it's about. It's promotional product.
That's correct.
Says John in Woodstock, why not just a bar of Lindt chocolate? I'm thought that $30 will be better spent that way and be far more meaningful than simply yet another calendar or a blimmin' pen.
No, you're correct. You could give out a beautifully packaged box of Lindt chocolates, and you could use the box thereafter for an ornament in the house or to put your odds and sods into it. Absolutely. So it's about thought. It's not just about giving out a product that's branded. Again, you alluded earlier, if you're going to give out a really upmarket leather folder, you don't necessarily have to brand it. I could put your name on it. I could give you an upmarket pen and engrave your name on it, and you're going to remember who gave you the gift.
Absolutely.
And that's all part of the advertising.
I'm speaking this evening to Bryan Peach, who is director at the Corporate Gifts Association of South Africa, acknowledging that it's an industry that is under pressure. It's an industry that doesn't cover itself in glory. Yes, like every industry, it's got its great players and its people who add enormous value. And then it's got a bunch of people who are taking a chance simply because they can get into the sector because they've got a cousin who works in a business with a big corporate budget and they can get a 2 or 3 million rand business underway fairly easily. Your calls this evening, your questions, your comments coming through on corporate gifts. Love to hear them on 021 446 0567 011 883 0702.
The Science of on The Money Show.
It's the science of the corporate gift this evening. I've got Bryan Peach, director of the Corporate Gift Association of South Africa. He's in studio with me this evening, acknowledging that it's an industry with challenges. How many people operate in this industry, Bryan?
Bruce, again, because we don't have the statistics, but obviously knowledge of the industry, there's probably between 3,000 and 4,000 operators any one time.
How do they survive?
Some of them don't.
Okay.
And again, the previous conversation, people take deposits and disappear with them. People don't deliver on time. They all survive, and some of them survive well. And again, don't get me wrong, there's a hell of a lot of professionals out there making a good living and offering a good service to the clients.
Okay. Tracy in Bedfordview, you work in the gifting industry. What do you do, Tracy?
Hi, yes. Actually, we don't work in the gifting world, but we like to provide our clients with a gift at the end of the world, at the end of the year. So we are in the business of corporate social investment. So it's important for us to give something that is meaningful. And what we've been doing for the past 2 years is giving our clients homemade biscuits that are made by the men and women that are cared for at Creamy Farm, which is a centre for disabled adults. And our clients absolutely love the biscuits, something they can share with their family. And the number of letters that I received just thanking us for the biscuits and not the usual stuff is just incredible.
Tracy, that's a fabulous call. Thank you. I mean, and that is somebody who's paying attention to adding meaning to the gifting process, and that's a good success story.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Put a bit of thought into it. It's not about loud branding. It's not about giving out Chinese junk. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good stuff coming out of China. It's again getting to know your clients. What do they appreciate, and making an impact with the things that you give out.
Brian in Sea Point, what are your thoughts?
Hi, John. Yeah, it was quite interesting what the gentleman was saying on the association. I have to say one thing, though, is that the industry is a bit of because of the lack of barriers to entry, it is a bit of a dog-eat-dog industry. In that, one can eat. It's so easy to start a company. You don't need any capital. You can get an account with the major wholesalers. There are only 4 or 5 major promotional wholesalers that hold stock of promotional products, from pens to lanyards.
Which is why
to umbrellas.
everything's the same, Brian.
Absolutely,
Okay.
and at the end of the day, the only competitive factor is price. And as the gentleman mentioned, it is the corporate that drives down the price, and that actually creates the behavior within the industry. Because often samples are provided, swatches are provided, and almost at the promotion companies sometimes own costs, and then those samples and and items are given to given to other companies, and then they actually choose the companies they want to work with, and they say, listen, the company X came in at this price, can you match it, and you've got the deal.
It's vicious, Brian, at Seapoint. 4 or 5 wholesalers of the stuff, so no wonder the catalogues all look the same.
Yeah, Brian is 100% correct, and because of that, we've become an industry of order takers. And again, we're not offering the service to the client. But 100% correct. And again, when you're all offering the same product and every single client, i.e. Prime Media 702, have got the same catalogs, you're calling up 3 or 4 people offering you the same product, same quality, same terms and conditions of delivery. You're going to drive the price down. And that's why a lot of these companies are not surviving. They can't make margin. It's all about price.
It's about differentiation. Johan van Tonda on the line to us from Front Hook this evening, Chief Executive of CyberSeller. This opens a market for you guys, doesn't it?
Yeah, Bruce, good evening. We're seeing an increased interest in wine as corporate gifts, judging from inquiries that we receive, but also the type of product that sells this time of year. And it had the risk of sounding biased, which I'm not. It makes an ideal corporate gift depending on the value of the relationship and the value of the client, because wine is consumed at the good moments in life when you're having fun and you're sharing it with people you love. And as the giftor of wine, you have the opportunity to be associated with those moments.
Thank you, Johan van Tonda. I mean, and that's wonderful. And I would be very happy getting a bottle of wine. Thanks very much. That would be great. My colleague Yusuf Abramji may have a slight issue, however, if somebody sends him a case of wine. He happens to be Muslim. It's again that idea of knowing who your customer is. People send you bottles of whiskey and you don't drink the stuff.
That's correct. Again, it's a personal touch, but investigate who you're giving it to. Don't offend people, and don't give out gifts for the sake of giving, where the gift is just handed on to somebody else and has no effect on your advertising budget.
Says David on the SMS line, we find more and more of our customers have basically outlawed gifts, and as such, we no longer do very much. I would be worried if it was my business. And Charles, I think your call is related to that. Can you just turn your radio down, please, Charles?
Sure, Bruce. Hi, my question is a simple one. When does a corporate gift arrive?
Sorry, Charles, horrible signal, but I got your question. When is a corporate gift a gift and when is it a bribe? Has that entered into the conversation that the industry is having at all, Brian?
Yeah, this whole connotation of gifts is something we feel every single day. And obviously, we follow the United States, we follow Europe in respect of legislation where certain companies disallow corporate gifts altogether. Legislation has been passed in the States, for example, where pharmaceuticals are no longer allowed to give out anything. Yeah. We're talking about a pen and even a post-it note, which is very sad because, again, we're an integral part of the marketing mix, and we get a better return on investment on corporate gifts than we do on the normal conventional advertising. So it is a very sad state of affairs.
This is a slightly black sense of humor, but I'm going to read it anyway. Nicolette says, the best corporate gift ever is the bottle of red wine from a funeral director's that my friend, the hospital manager, gets every year. It provides for great dinner party conversation. I mean, that's pretty cheeky. Put your own brand on a bottle of wine which you give the hospital manager to send the less successful patients your way.
I suppose it's got the effect. It's got us talking about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it is a delicate art, and the industry needs to really work on that art rather than simply go through the process of saying, here are 3,000 pens, send them to your clients.
That's correct, yeah. And again, a lot of people have been burnt in this industry, especially the corporates. Deal with people who are reputable, deal with people who are accredited. There's a hell of a lot of good professional gift companies out there who know what they're doing. They know about advertising. They don't just sell product, they offer a service.
How many of the 3,000 to 4,000 people who do this in this country are members of your association?
Again, going 2 years, we've probably got just under 200 members, which is
and
not
will
bad.
You live and die by those members?
As much as we can. Obviously, we investigate them. We do the usual credit checks, and on them we get the usual reference checking from the big suppliers that do supply them. It's as good as we can do. But again, we're the mouthpiece for the industry, and we'll defend the end user consumer as much as we'll defend the supplier and the importer.
Bryan Peach, thank you for coming in, Director of the Corporate Gifts Association of South Africa.